Hi everyone, Steve here. In this video today, we're going to be looking at Power BI and how to handle different grain between fact and dimension tables. This gets particularly relevant when you have multiple fact tables. Grain is one of the most important things when you're designing a star schema, and it's one of the issues I see a lot on how people really run into problems when building their data model. So with that, let's head straight over and start learning about grain. Grain is essentially the level of detail in your table. And this can mean a couple of things whether you're looking at a fact and dimension table. So grain is really just the combination of columns at which the records in a table are unique. And in a dimension table, this is really just represented by the primary key. So when we're looking at some sort of dimension table, we are going to say the grain is of the level of the primary key, because by definition, this is unique. And so what the grain of this table, what the uniqueness level of this table is the primary key. So in this table, it's a dimension table of animals that we have, and each animal has their own ID. So we can say the grain, that low level of uniqueness, is this primary key. Now, in a fact table, especially when we're doing star schema, we probably don't or often won't have a primary key. So a grain for a fact table is really just then represented by the combination of foreign keys. So in this fact table, we have our animals, we also have a date and a type of food and the quantity. So we're measuring how much and when we fed our animals. Now, the grain of this will be the combination of the foreign keys. Remember, date is in a fact table, date is also a foreign key, right? Even though it looks like a date and looks like a value, this is a foreign key off to the date table. So for this fact table, we could say the grain is the animal ID by the date by the food ID, which makes sense because what we're doing is we're counting the quantity of food, a type of food given to a certain animal on a certain date. This makes sense. Now let's head over and look at some more complex data where mismatching grains might be an issue. Here we have some fairly simple data. We have 3 dimensions. The first is the client, which is the client ID is going to be our primary key, lists our clients that we have. We have our date table, and there we go. The date is going to be the primary ID, and this date is at a day level. So 1 row per day. Then we have our office, and you can imagine, right? The office is at an office ID level. Very, very simple, 1 row per office. Our actuals we have, and so this is how much we actually spent. We have this nice and matching, so we have this at a day level, by office, by client. However, we also have budget. Now with budget, we don't necessarily budget right down to the lowest granularity. And in our case, you can see we actually budget just by month and client. So we can say, for this month and this client, this is our budget. So now we've seen this data, what I like to do before I go and start building and getting myself into trouble is create this grain matrix. And actually, I normally do this before I even start any Power BI. This is in my planning. This is what I create when I design a data model. This is going to be quite simple, but they can get big and complex. And the more tables you have, the more important that these are. What I like to do is across the top, I just list all my dimensions and then the grain. And you don't necessarily have to talk in keys like this and IDs because it may be a bit confusing like the date. I like to write in plain English what the grain is. So my date is at a day level. The primary key, of course, would be the date, which is, the ID of date. This though, at the level, if I want to say that, that is at a day level. So make sure whatever you write here, lines up to the primary key of that table. We also had a client and the office, and those are both the client and the office IDs. Again, you could write this in sort of more plain English. With my data, I understand what the client ID and office ID is. Then on the other side, I will write my facts. So my first fact is the actuals. And here I'm going to list out all of the foreign keys. From actuals, I had the day. Again, it was the date, but I'm going to write day so I know the granularity, the client ID, and the office ID. Then I'm going to go across where all of these intersect, and I can either write a tick, an X, or a warning. And the first one, I say the actual day against date, that lines up, right? So that's a tick because they are matching, day and day match, and they have the same granularity. Nothing else in this table in this for day, for the actuals matches any other, so I'll leave those blank. I'll do this across, and we can see all of my keys in my fact table match to the same grain as all of the keys in all of my dimensions. So now I've done that per key, I can then just write for the total, and I basically do a sum, right? If it's all green ticks below, I'll say, yes, the actuals matches every dimension I have. Now I'm going to do the same for the budget. Here we had, again, even though it was a date, right, the granularity was month. And that's why I like to write it in English language, so I know the granularity. Because if I just wrote date, that wouldn't be clear to me whether it was a day, a month, or whatever. So let's look at the first one. We look at month and we get to day. Well, month and day do join, right? Because they're both dates. However, we know that these are different granularities because I've said month and day, obviously different levels. So I'm going to put a warning here because we can join them, right? They're the same key. However, the granularity is wrong. Now we can go to client ID, and yes, this matches, this is all good. Now we're going down and we have sort of these empty rows for office and office ID. So when I'm doing my total here, I can say, well, budget, it matches, but I've got a warning. Client, yes, it matches. Office, no, there's no matching dimension in this. And I can probably hide the foreign keys, the bit I've blanked out, and just show these totals once I've completed. This will then get me a really good way to see and understand what grains and what issues I might have with my model. So I've built some reports off of this Power BI data model. The issue is that we do have a mixed grain. Now we have the actuals and the budget, and from this report, they're looking quite good. I have the client name down the side here, and then I have it by month across in this nice line chart. We can see, we're sort of missing our budget quite a lot. But however, as you can guess, there's going to be some issues because we do have the incorrect grains. I have a tooltip on this graph here. It's going to show me the top 5 offices by client. Now, as you can imagine, because the budget doesn't have client, as soon as I hover over to this tooltip, we can instantly see something's wrong, right? We see big numbers all matching. That's an instant indicator that something's wrong and that there is a relationship missing, which of course makes sense because there is no relationship between office and budget. If I see on my month, I also have a drill down here to go into date. So I'm just going to go to the next level. We'll see here that it looks very strange. Reason for this is because the keys are valid, they are the same key, right? They're both date values. It works, and Power BI thinks this is fine. However, what is happening is that we're summing up the entire month and giving the same value of the total for the month for budget. And while the actuals is at a day level, obviously this looks very weird and this is incorrect, right? Because our actuals are not this much higher or lower than the budget. And obviously this is incorrect as well. So issues with grain. When we do have these X's, these warnings, there's a few things we can do when building a Power BI star schema. So inconsistent grains leave us with many-to-many joins. I'm not going to go deep into many-to-many joins. Have a quick Google, ask your favorite AI. You will see there's a lot of issues with many-to-many joins. Many of the times they will work fine and you'll get the right answers and they'll be okay. But there are big issues with some complex DAX with bigger data that'll be really slow and actually may give you wrong answers, especially with complex DAX. So we really want to avoid this and avoid this for getting ourselves in trouble with the model or just as maintenance as it grows. So we have three options really. One is going to roll up to the highest level. And what that means is that we take our lowest level granularity table, which in this tape is the actuals, and roll it up to the same granularity as all the other facts. So let's go over and have a look what that means. So in order to roll up, what we need to do is take it from the lowest level of grain, which in this case is the actuals, and make it rolled up to the same level of grain of the budget. Now, we have this by day at the moment, and our budget's by month. So the first thing I'm going to do is insert a new row, which is, or a new column, I should say, which is month. So now we have all the necessary data in order to roll it up. And just to roll it up, I'm going to do this group by. You see this group by, I'm going to group by the month and the client. And that is the granularity of the budget. Now, obviously the value, we want to summarize that because the actuals is lower. So we're just going to say, we'll sum the value, I'm just going to keep it as value, by month and client. So it's going to give us a new list of unique month and clients combination, and then the summed value. And this then rolls us up, and we have the same budget level granularity. We can do the same with the dim date. And in this one, I just took the date table. I then remove the day because we don't want that. We want to get rid of the granularity. And because I already have the nice month start here and the correct column, I can then just remove duplicates and roll this up to the same level as budget and the new actuals. It makes this easier though to create this report. I have the same report here, and we actually don't have the option to have all of the data that we had. What this does mean though, this is great for self-service, because if I gave someone this option where they didn't know about this mixed grain, they could very easily build something like this. So by rolling up, one of the best options for self-service, we remove the ability for them to make errors and also for us to make errors. Again, we do lose a lot of the data though, because now I can't see the office or the individual day level. So that is how to roll up. The next option we have is create many-to-many joins. And this is just a bad idea in general. So I'm not even going to do this one. I'm not going to look at it. We're going to say, let's avoid many-to-many joins. There are some cases where it may be impossible and very unique scenarios, but there's usually a better option. If we do want to keep the granularity and not remove that data, not lose data by rolling up, one of the best ways is creating a bridge table. And this is essentially still a many-to-many join, but it's going to be an indirect many-to-many join. So what's a better option? Well, the better option is to keep that, to use a bridge table, and just to put some checks into our DAX. So if I head over to our bridge, all this is I have this bridge table here between the date and the budget. This is stopping the many-to-many. In a way, it's technically indirect many-to-many, because if we see here, we have many here and many here. But we don't have the many-to-many relationship, which can cause issues. It does leave us with a need for this bidirectional relationship to propagate the filters from the dimension down to the bridge and the bridge down to the fact. The bridge table is simply a list of the unique months. So if I look at the data here, I'll go over to our bridge table here, and you can see I've just taken the unique months from the date. So it's just a unique list of whatever column we're doing the indirect many-to-many on. This then allows us to do this one-to-many, because this is a unique list, to month, and then the bidirectional lets us change the filter direction. This bridge table then, because it is a unique list and the same granularity as the fact, does nice and well one-to-many with a nice single direction. Now, this doesn't really solve that issue of the mixed grain. However, what I have done is I've just added some simple DAX that's going to let us do this a lot easier. If I go and I've created this new budget protected, let's have a look at this measure. What I've done is I've just added a couple of checks. The first one I've called is a variable total office. And what I've done is I'm just counting how many rows are in the office without any filters. So just the total amount of rows in the office. I then select how many rows of the office we have selected. So there may be 20 offices. And if I put a filter on office, this is going to be, 5 or less because I've tried to filter office. I then do a check and I say, is the total office different to the selected office? So really all this check is doing is saying, there's 10 total offices in the office table. Have we got any filters on the office table? And are we showing all the office or less than all of the office table? So it's just a check to see if there's filters on the office table. This will allow us to, if anyone is applying a filter on the office table, to not display the budget. We also then want to say about the date. Now I've used is in scope of the date. I don't want to use this same because people can still filter the date, right? Because we might want to look at month, years. So there will be filters on the date, but if they go down to the date level, the individual day level, we can use this is in scope. And you can see the syntax of is in scope, but what it's going to do is it's going to say, have we selected the date? Is the date visible in this calculation? If it is, we can do the check. So if either of these checks come back true, saying that we have a filter on the office table or the date level is visible, we're going to return the blank. If not, return the budget. Now I have that same graph that I on the page. If I hover over here now, we can see that the office is still there, but because we've detected that there's been a filter on the office, that budget protected measure is now displaying blank. It is displaying, of course, when we have it in the client because client's perfectly valid. Same thing happens here. We have our month and the date in a hierarchy. Month is showing, this is showing valid, and we can see where we're tracking against budget. If I go down to the date level, that budget protected is reading that we are in scope for the date, and it's completely stopping that, and it's avoiding showing that measure on the report. And there you have it. That is some nice and simple tips on dealing with grain. Now, things can obviously get complicated as you build bigger and more complex data models. However, grain is one of the most important things I think you need to think about when designing a star schema. It's probably the thing that tripped me up the most. And once I started thinking of grain, making those grain matrix, it really helped. And it really helped me building better data models and future-proofing them, making them faster. So thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you on the next one. See everyone soon.